All right, Junkie Nation, Gorgeous George and goes deliver another MMA superstar. This one comes from the coaching realm. It's Eric Nicksick, the 2020 co-coach of the year at the MMA Junkie year-end awards, and of course, lead corner for Francis Ngannou, Dan Ige, and many others. What's up, Big E? How are you?
Good, George. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, man. Hard to keep tabs on you because you're all over the place nowadays. It seems like your stable is growing, with people wanting you to be the lead guy in their corners.
Yeah, I've been on the road a lot. I think, my wife is probably the one taking the blunt of my travel right now. So I leave tomorrow for Bellator, and she wasn't even sure I was leaving or when I was leaving yet. So yeah, leaving tomorrow, babe. So yeah, it's been busy.
You posted on Instagram recently. It was a picture of your wife and your kids. I think they were in LA. It was a beach setting. And, you obviously explained the sacrifice that there is, but you also said, I'm chasing wins. And it was pretty cool to see that. It was pretty cool to see someone, what their driver is, and how is it a detriment to your health at all? I want to know. I'm thinking of other coaches that have done great things in other sports, and they usually have a window, a run. But is our sport different? Can you do this for a long time, or what does it do to you personally?
Yeah, that's a good question, George, and I really don't know. I think every day is kind of a reshuffle of focus on the task at hand. It does get hard, and I think what gets hard is the time that you miss out on the family things, and that's what I kind of was resonating in that post was like, man, there's a lot of pictures without the dad. It's family vacations and things like that, and the sacrifices that myself and other coaches, a lot of coaches make. Just for the fact of we want to be great at our craft, and we want to chase wins, and we want to get these belts, but it comes at a price, And I think for me, a lot of times what hurts the most, or it was when your time isn't appreciated, whether it's monetarily or people just don't give the effort that you're asking out of them. But it is the sport that we chose, so there's that double-edged sword. I mean, I could easily find something else to do if I needed to, but man, this is what I love to do the most. And the biggest thing I want to make sure is that my kids and my wife are passionate about my job as well. And if they hated it, then I would definitely be looking at something else, but they're my biggest support system as well. So, that's why I love what I do.
Do you have time once the event is over to reconvene with that athlete and go over things like the way head coaches on a Monday or Tuesday, they'll come in and they'll do film study, game study, whatever you want to call it, and go over that? Or is your schedule so busy that you have to turn the page, leave them behind, and focus on the new person?
No, I make it a must. Like we try to meet that within that week. Usually sit down and watch the tape either together or go over the camp, and just that checks and balances and see if there's anything that we needed to do better, win, lose, or draw. I think it's an important element in our coaching style, is to make sure that we checked all the boxes. Was the fighter happy? Was the coach happy? Was there things that we need to be better on? And I think that's important just for the evolution of who we are as coaches and fighters. But it also gives the opportunity to get anything out. Like, hey, I wasn't happy about this, or I think we should do better with this, or I didn't get enough of that. And it doesn't leave anything by rumor or by circumstance. It's like, no, we're going to get it out and figure that out now. And if the camp's great, it's great, but there's also areas of improvement. So I think that's always an important part.
You used the word evolution, and that's the word I wanted to get to, was the evolving of coaching. And I feel like you're at the forefront of it, you along with a few others. And I think it's probably, you were a high school star athlete in football. Your father guided young athletes. And I think it seems like to me that you've learned a little bit of that and brought it over to mixed martial arts. The not necessarily the X's and O's, because they're complete different games, but coaching in a different way. Like, you really, really are quick to hug your guys, to tell them what they mean to you. It seems like every practice means something with you.
Yeah, I think it's important that you show that same sort of energy no matter what, whether I'm having a bad day or I'm down and out. I think that's going to kind of have a ripple effect on the entire team. So, being the emphasis of a practice and making sure that I'm guiding that energy and making sure everybody feels that love and enthusiasm is a very important part, I think, of my coaching style. And for me, like, the evolution has been something that's been so great under the tutelage of Xtreme Couture. Like, having the coaches around me that have helped bring me up have only provided me to become better. And to their credit, they've spent so much time with me. I get to sit with Ray Sefo and Dennis Davis, and I've had Robert Fallis and Vinny Magalesh, and like people around me that have given me the opportunity to learn from them. So when I have a question, I don't feel vulnerable and go and ask them. And then that's reached out even further with guys like Henry Hooft and Trevor Whitman and people that I consider my friends. I don't have a problem picking up the phone. So in my mind, I think to be a good coach, you always have to remain coachable.
That picture right behind you says it all. That's a guy that you went to the top with, and that's Francis Ngannou. And recently, he did an interview with Jimmy Smith, Unlocking the Cage, Sirius XM, and he was just kind of giving a timeline of, they wanted him to fight in June. He said maybe July or August, but then they went radio silent on him. And by the time they did come to him, he wasn't ready to take a fight in August and preferred September. I'm sure there's other stuff, personal life, who knows, that can factor into this decision making. But I want to ask you, where do you factor in? Famously, about 10 years ago, John Jones was going to fight Dan Henderson, and he didn't. And even though he was the one that revealed the final answer, he said he got a lot of guidance from Coach Greg Jackson that don't take Chael Sonnen on 1 week notice or whatever they were left with. How about you? How much input do you have in this decision making? Will it be, are you going to push for Gane Ngannou, or is that Jones mega fight still out there? Like, how do you play into this?
Honestly, I feel like it's kind of like the stay in your lane mentality as far as the negotiation stuff goes. But I do have a say. We do sit down a lot. Everything that's kind of run to the table from Markel gets brought through me as well. But I also understand that there's a business side behind this that's not my lane. I don't negotiate the numbers. I sat and talked with Francis the Sunday he came back into town. He came over for dinner. We were agreed to fight. It wasn't a contracted fight, but we did verbally agree to fight Derek Lewis on September 25th. So when he came over to dinner, that was the mindset. We sat down and we put pen to paper and started writing out camp and ideas and everything else. And it was that Monday that they decided to go with the interim. So I do have some say in the whole thing, but of course, man, I'm going to have my guys back through and through, and whatever he feels was right for him in his career, I'm going to have his back on. But ultimately, I think that there was a lot of mishandling. This is a business, and I understand that the UFC wanted to move on and get something done earlier because it was in Houston, and who better to have than Derek Lewis in Houston. So it is what it is. But I'll tell you what I'm happy about is the fact that Francis hasn't missed a beat. He's been in the gym every day. He's been working hard. He hasn't been, pouting or making any scene about it. He's kept pretty much silent about the situation, but he's been working his ass off.
Does the scenario around all this offer even more motivation to Francis? Has it pulled out like another gear in him?
Yeah, I really think it has. I think I wouldn't say he feels disrespected. I don't want to put words in the man's mouth, but there's an element I can feel of edginess about him. Like, there's like, okay, I'm going to prove these guys wrong. And I don't know if what there is to prove or what he has to do. He's the heavyweight champ of the world. And Gane looked great this past weekend. And I know we have our hands full, but in my mind, that title is always going to run through us, and it's ours to defend.
You've shared just about how much you do in fight preparation, but for Ciryl Gane, when you saw his performance, what did you think? I know every fighter has some holes, but were you able to right away click some things going, get that game plan going?
Yeah, I'm probably about 5 or 6 hours in on tape since Saturday on some things and writing down ideas. But I was very impressed with him, to be quite honest with you. I think he's very efficient. I think the word that comes to mind is efficient. He's not very hittable in a weird way, in an equation that I think when you can relate it to football, it reminds me a lot of Barry Sanders. I'm talking about footwork and elusiveness, but also Barry Sanders never got really squared up. He never really got hit hard. And that's what I see with Gane. He's never really getting out of position and getting squared up and getting hit hard. So I think we're gonna have to create some different things in the fight for us with Francis. But that's the best part about the sport, man. Is I'm up for the competition and to compete against the best. So hopefully come up with something good.
You've got some great heavyweights at Xtreme Couture. Ciryl Gane's kind of got his own unique style. Is everything going to be done in-house, or do you see possibly bringing in a couple people to mimic that style?
Oh, I've already got guys in mind, for sure. I want to bring in some guys to try to help mimic the style, but really at the heavyweight division, man, it's just about bodies, to be honest with you. So the better type you can find that can fit his style, which is going to be difficult, because the guy is pretty damn good and pretty tough to find a style match like him. But really, it's just about comparable reps and getting some sort of body type, hopefully, that you can find. But at this stage in your career, when especially at the heavyweight division, don't step over dollars to pick up dimes. Spare no expense to be able to win the title, but also to maintain the title. I think not cutting corners on camps, especially when it comes to training partners, is very imperative.
As a group there, as for coaches at Xtreme Couture, how much fun is it to you guys have this board where you'll write down matchups. How much fun is it to just write down the name Fedor Emelianenko?
Yeah, it's pretty nostalgic for sure. I got the text from Brian Butler last week, and he said Tim Johnson, Fedor, and I was like, I got chills. I'm like, you think of that name, and obviously that there's a lot of history there when it comes to Xtreme Couture, Randy and Fedor and stuff like that. So, man, it's a legend. It's an absolute legend. So to be able to write Tim Johnson versus Emelianenko on the fight board come October is pretty freaking surreal.
That said, I haven't seen the fight board lately, and I think the last time I asked Goes, he said, well, sometimes Eric takes it into his office to update it. But has it come down for a reason, or am I just not there enough?
No, it's in my office right now. It's because I'm so freaking bad at I'll write the whole board out and then I'll hang it up on the wall, and then there's like 3 people that will come over and like, hey, forgot my fight. I just there's so many guys fighting, guys and girls in and out of the gym, so I'll write it down and then I'll forget and I won't update it, and then I'll have to do it again, and then it's just a painstaking task, but it needs to be done better, and that's on me. So I got to make sure I get that done correctly.
That probably cost me a leg kick for pointing that out.
No. It's sitting right here. I'm looking right at it.
Eric, a lot of people don't know this, but before the Ngannou fight, you spent every day of your night rewatching his previous fights so that you could pick up something going into that Stipe Miocic fight number 2. But and a lot of people did wind up hearing about that, but some people didn't. But another thing a lot of people don't know, I hope you don't mind me putting it out, at least I don't think I saw much press on this, was you did every strength and conditioning session that Dan Ige did during his camp. First of all, why? That's crazy, I mean, those athletes go through a lot. And of course, you're still a young cat. You can do all this, but what was the specific reason for putting your body through that?
He's my guy. So I just feel like that's where you build a lot of that camaraderie. You build a lot of that trust is in the weeds, in the trenches with one another. And, like for me, like on sparring days, I'm not able to really move around a lot. We have so many guys fighting. You're watching rounds, and, I'm not at the level of a lot of these guys in the room, and I'm not going to take mat space from anybody. So when I can get on the mats and on the floor, or do things that maybe show a little bit of extra effort, especially when it comes to a guy like Dan or Francis, I'm going to take advantage of it the best I can. And I think it worked out a lot of ways for me. Like I enjoyed going. It reminded me of kind of the, football preseason days, but there was also days where Dan said that he didn't feel like being there and he was tired and wanted to take the day off, but he knew I was going to be there, and that helped push him. Or, there was days when he was having a hard session and there's his coach right next to him having an equally as hard session, but we were doing it together. I think just for me, man, like I want to be a part of it. I don't want to be about it. I don't want to talk about it. I want to show it. I want to do it. So being there with my guy, I felt built more camaraderie together.
Respect, man. That's crazy. Did you get any nicks and bruises from it, or did you wind up even getting in better shape? how'd that work out, that whole camp for you, I guess?
Oh, I got the shit kicked out of me every day, man. It was rough. It was rough. Like, I would get through the workout, and then, Dan would have even some more cardio or some other stuff that I would just be there for and just kind of, be motivational support with them. But yeah, I mean, I got in good shape. I love those guys over there. They're really, really good. And I just talked to Kyle Laramie over at the PI, and he just told me that they're going to allow me to come in and work out with Francis. So I'm going to take advantage of that too. And I think it's an important thing when you get a guy on the stool, and you look at a guy or a girl and they know that, man, this guy's been with me through everything, through thick and thin. Like we just build that born in the fire relationship. So I'm going to take advantage of it if I can, and I want to be there with them no matter what it is.
How nice is it to have Cheyenne Bays back at Xtreme Couture? She talked about her long journey. First of all, going with you guys as an amateur and then having to relocate to South Africa, then Dallas, Texas, but now back home. You can see how much it meant to her in her last fight. Well, what did that mean to you guys in the gym to know that one of yours came home?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a beautiful story, to be quite honest with you. She called me. I was in Canada. She called me and she's like, "Big bro, I feel like I'm in love. I want to go explore this and see if this is something that works out for me." And I just told her, I was like, "Look, man, I married my high school sweetheart, and there was a lot of obstacles and challenges. And I said, follow your heart and do what you feel is right for you. And I said, hopefully everything works out correctly. You bring home a husband and you come back to the gym." And she told me she never forgot that. I mean, I love her to death. She's like a little sister. Dennis Davis and her have a great relationship. He's basically made her the person she is today. Her and Ray Seffel have a great relationship, and her and myself. And our door was always open. She never left on bad terms. And I think that's kind of our mentality is like, look, I love you and I care about you. And if you find your way back, our door is always going to be open for you. So it's seeing her come for full circle and getting the finish the way she did and execution the way she did it, and then getting the bonus, man. It's the reason why I think a lot of us get into this sport is to be able to help guide young fighters in finding their true passion and their true talent.
Quietly, because this is one of the smaller promotions, another fighter came home, Max Roscoff. You cornered him in San Diego at Cage Warriors 126, I believe. How was that experience? And I guess, what do you think the future is for Max? What kind of a timeline is he in? Because he has dipped his toes into UFC. It's just he had a bad exit.
Yeah, man. He's another one he came here right out of college, and he was kind of a homegrown kid. And, he decided to do his camp elsewhere, kind of change some things up. And yeah, to be quite honest with you, man, it hurt. It did hurt. But at the end of the day, he called me kind of hat in hand and just, can I come back? And I was like, bro, of course, man. I care about you more as the person than I do as the fighter. I knew he was going through some depression and some hard times, especially with what he went through in the fight. And I just like, bro, I would just like to see you back in the gym and healthy and train. I don't care if you ever want to fight again, but why don't we just take baby steps and see how it goes? And, he got right back in the gym, and he was right back to the old Max. He was in here every day, training twice a day, working out hard, pushing everybody on the floor. And you started to see him get his swagger back and, just seeing the kind of the light behind his eyes again. And he was happy to be part of the sport. So there's still, I think, a lot more process with him and bringing him along slowly. And I think Brian Butler and the guys over at Sucker Punch have the right idea to kind of help groom him and get him some cage time. But all in all, man, I think it's a good human interest story. I think people that follow the sport and understand that, like, we want to see this kid succeed no matter what it is. I don't care whether it's in the cage or in life, but I don't want to leave that kid behind in any way I can help him, man. I'm just glad to have him back in the room.
How tough was a few weekends ago with Strickland versus Hall, a guy that was in your gym for a long time and recently left, versus a guy that has recently started to become more of a regular fixture in your gym? What was that like for you guys?
I just try to stay transparent and understanding that, like, Sean's now kind of our teammate, right? He splits time between us and Syndicate. I think Syndicate does a great job with him, and us as well. Like, and it's been a great relationship, to be quite honest with you. So, it was easy to eliminate myself from any corner duties. We kind of joked around about it, but at the end of the day, like I still have history with Uriah. I still consider him a friend. But it was like one of those things where it just made a lot of sense for me not to really have to be involved. And I felt good about that too, just knowing that like, hey, we did our job for Sean. Uriah's moved on. He's at another gym and another team. And we're going to do our best for what we can with the guy that's here in the room with us now, and may the best man win.
This is the last question, but it's actually Goz's question in a way. It's something he brought up. I want to give him the credit. We're fond admirers of your Monday practice. We call you Coach Lombardi because Monday you grab the whistle and you work these people, and sometimes even tack on an extra 10, 15 minutes of strength and conditioning. And as we were watching Hall and Strickland, I don't know if you remember, Goz, but you said, I wonder if this 4th and 5th round, because they both made it, right, to those later rounds, but Strickland just seemed to have a little bit more fire in his belly. I don't know. I don't want to in any way diminish Uriah Hall or his camp or anything like that, but he said, I wonder if it's those Monday practices that Eric is pushing these fighters to the limit that maybe pay off their dividends in fights like this. You care to comment on that thought?
Yeah, I like to think that. I think that that Monday that we set, it's just a kind of a different breed of cat in there, right? And that's the mentality that we want to have. Is we want that 5th round for a reason, because we want to try to break somebody. We want them to understand that we're going to set a pace that they can't match. And you can ask Sean Strickland, he doesn't miss that Monday practice. And he tells me this is the hardest practice in MMA. That's what he tells me. He's like, I go all over California, Nevada, wherever I travel. He said Monday practice is the hardest MMA practice I have. So I think you can kind of attest to that. You can see the results. Our guys don't really fade as the fight goes on. And it's the guys that I think are guys and girls that are investing that time and understanding what the point is for Monday is to set a mentality and a pace that is unmatchable by others.
Yeah, I love it, man. You do a great thing with that Monday workout. And that's great to get feedback from someone like Strickland, who's got, almost a couple dozen fights under his belt. He's doing big things right now. So I'm sure you really enjoyed hearing that. Aside from Goz and I, hopefully other fighters are telling you the same thing. Yeah,
that Monday is like tailor-made Sean Strickland. That is right in his wheelhouse, man. And he's one of the realest guys you're ever going to meet. You got to take him for what he's worth. He's going to tell you what he thinks about a situation, but he's also going to be straight up with you, which I think is kind of refreshing this day and age.
Are you running practice today?
Yes, sir.
It's a sauna in there, but maybe I can get down there and check it out. It's really a great practice. And you know what? There's in the warm-up, you have them doing like these long jumps, like a broad jump, you know what I mean? I couldn't believe that Ngannou can kind of almost make it across like in 3 or 4 jumps. He doesn't mail that in. I mean, he looks like one of those guys from the Olympics, except the guys in the Olympics get that running start and then they extend their legs. That was very impressive to see someone his size do that.
Yeah, he can fly. He gets it like in 2.5 jumps. He jumps across the entire mat. But it's fun because you just make it a little bit of a competition, like you kind of breed that competition with everybody's, whether it's sprints or the frog jumps or whatever it may be. And you're like, oh, don't let this guy catch you, or man, that guy is jump way further than you, and you just kind of spark that competitive nature out of everybody in the room. And Francis doesn't want to get beaten anything, so yeah, he'll give, even in the sprints, like he's trying to race everybody in the room, so it's hilarious.
It's got to be done, but Goz and I got to figure out how to make Francis Ngannou a listener of our show. You want to know why?
Fire.
So he can be officially part of Junkie Nation. And the next time Junkie Nation plays Xtreme Couture, he's on our side, not yours. Because that, my friend, is a dead ringer.
There you go.
In flag football, if we ever meet up again. I probably would stare at your sideline and go, it's done. That's it.
I will shake the shit out of Francis. I'll break his ankles twice before he ever put a hand on me.
Well, how do you think we thought with you guys? I think your defensive ends were Puna Soriano and Brad Tavares.
Oh, yeah. They had a 2 Mississippi count.
2 Mississippi. They're supposed to yell 5. We got you at free safety. We got Johnny Nunez there, and Boston Salmon and
Maki. Yeah, the whole crew was there, man. That was a fun one.
I think Kai may have even been out there. It was something else.
Yeah.
But we want to play again, but that's gonna have to be a stipulation. So I got to figure out how we can get Francis to listen to our show, and that way he can be with us.
There you go, smart man.
Thanks for letting us do a catch up with you. It's been a while. We covered a lot. We appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy.
Anytime, man. I miss you guys. Hopefully we'll see you guys in a few hours, huh?
Yeah. Might have to get down there. All right. Take care, bud.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.